So before I say something about income tax, I would like to say that this class is very elementary and it's just an introduction to direct taxes. I'm not touching upon the indirect taxes, that is GST, because tax per se is a very vast subject, and we cannot touch upon everything in just half an hour. I've tried to cover up maximum things, but and let's see how much we can actually go through. So first of all, I would like to say there's a general perception that only CAs can do tax practice, and and they are most sought after for if there is any tax matter. But what I feel is that a lawyer has the ability to develop this strategy right from the stage of the matter when the notice is issued by the assessing officer till the litigation at the Supreme Court level. So it should not be the myth that a lawyer cannot handle, because there are both the law. Questions of fact, I agree, can better be handled by CAs, and questions of law, CAs cannot handle. That's beyond their perspective. So lawyers are required. There is a Supreme Court judgment also on which is 368 ITR 42 2014 Madras by in which the National Tax Tribunal Act was passed in 2005, and the Supreme Court was of the view that since the powers of Delhi High Court have been shifted or vested with the tax tribunal, the issues that would be emerging would be most of legal issues, because at High Court level we have appeal matters. So there is more of with the power of High Court. It was felt that it would most definitely be confronted with the legal issues, and it held that the CAs are standing and explaining the issues pertaining to accounts. But to allow them to represent a party to an appeal before acceptable in law. So they held it unconstitutional and unsustainable in law. So the Supreme Court has also ruled that lawyers are best for tax practice. So we should, if we have this in mind, that lawyers idea, and one should venture into taxation and explore more. So now I come to, I'll start with my, what I want to say today. I'll share a presentation. So I hope everybody can see. Now, the Central Board of Direct Taxes is actually the supreme body. Constitution, no ways, is always supreme. But for income tax purpose, it's a CBDT that makes the rules and makes the acts and has the authority to implement and formulate all different policies relating to direct tax administration. So they are the supreme people. Now, coming to the doctrines of income tax, they're a little different from our legal practice. We have everything, we have principle of res judicata, which is very important in our legal practice. But in income tax, this principle doesn't hold good, because whatever has been given as a judgment or whatever has been allowed in previous assessment is not necessarily, or the assessing officer is not bound to allow in current assessment also. So the principle of res judicata doesn't hold in income tax. But looking at this, we cannot overrule the, now we cannot rule out principle of consistency. The tax proceedings which require that when the facts and circumstances continue to remain the same, then there should not be any variation in the treatment from earlier. Earlier, I said that the principle of res judicata doesn't hold, but the consistency has to be there if the facts are same. If If the facts are different, then res judicata doesn't hold good. Then there are general principles that taxing statute has to be interpreted in the light of legal acts. In some of the acts, we also interpret the meaning coming out of it. But it has to be clearly, in income tax, it has to be clearly what is written in the act. We cannot deviate from there. And before taxing any person, we have to make sure that it is falling in the tax net, in the charging section. There are various sections in Income Tax Act. One of them is charging section. If the individual doesn't fall into the charging section, you cannot tax him. Then if the words are ambiguous and has two meanings, then the meaning favorable to assessee is followed. So there is a advantage to the assessee that if there are two meanings that are being analyzed from something which is written in the act, then he will be given a favor of whatever is in his favor. Then there is principle of mutuality. That is, you cannot have profit out of yourself. That you cannot have dealings with yourself. There has to be two parties. There has to be two different entities who can deal and earn income out of it. Then there is doctrine of mens rea, that is there in our legal practice also, which is relevant in income tax only in cases of penalty and prosecution. There are penalties imposed and there is prosecution also in income tax, and mens rea plays very important role in this area. Then there is doctrine of merger. If a case is decided, if order is passed once, then the assessing officer has no right to open it. If the order is passed by the final authority or whichever authority it was lying with, then the assessing officer cannot go back to the basic argument and say this what I presented was wrong. Even if he presented whatever he presented was wrong or there was mistake in his submissions, still he is bound by the order which was passed, even though mistakenly, whatever. But this is the doctrine of merger. You cannot go back on your words. Then we come to doctrine of estoppel. There is no estoppel against statute, so that an assessee is entitled to raise a ground of claim regarding non-taxability of any amount at any level. So he can bring if he has forgotten to raise that ground at assessing officer level, he can very well raise it at CIT level. He can very well raise it at ITAT level. Yes, with the permission, there are conditions and there has to be there are norms that have to be followed to be able to be granted that opportunity to submit additional evidence or additional ground. Then the principle of natural justice is always there, as in our legal practice. This is a basic. So the assessee has to be given the opportunity to prove himself, to show, to defend himself. If he's not given the opportunity to prove himself or defend himself, then he's always got the right to go to the appeal in higher courts. Now, some heads of income which are very important in income tax are salary, house property, business and profession, capital gains, and other sources. These are the main heads of income tax under which income is assessed. And notices are generally issued in any one of these heads. So assessing officer has right to issue notice if there is any discrepancy that he finds in your return of income under any one of these heads. Then there are some important terms that we should know, like assessee. Assessee is a person whose income is being assessed. Assessment year is the year which is next to the current financial year. So now the financial year is 2021. So our assessment year for this year would be 22-23. Sorry, there is this error in this slide. It has to be 22-23. Then there is a residential status. If you're resident in India, then only you are taxable in India. If the income is accruing or arising outside India to you, then you're not liable to pay tax on that income. So the government of India is very clear that if you're earning in India, then you better pay taxes. But if you're earning from outside, we are not concerned. There are tax treaties with on international transactions, but that is in case of companies, not in case of individuals. In case of individuals also, there are some some provisions, but that happens only if you're bringing that income, or there is some connection of that income with India, if you have some permanent establishment in India or something like that. So then that income can be taxed. So there are other chapters and other sections for that. Then we have gross total income, that is the combination of all the incomes falling under the various heads that we've just seen, and we make a total income out of that, and then we give deductions from that total income. There are a lot of deductions available given in various chapters. Then we arrive at total income. It is on total income that we have to pay tax. We don't have to pay tax on gross total income. We have to pay tax on total income. So accordingly, we pay tax, and then we file income tax return. After the income tax return is filed, then it goes to the domain of income tax authorities, and they verify the return. They see whether it is correct, it is not escaping income, or it is not it's not that it is income is not disclosed properly, it is with the provisions of act, within the provisions of act. Then in case he finds any discrepancies, he issues notices. So that is the case when the assessment starts. The assessment starts with the issue of notices. So assessment is the first litigation. So here, what are the steps? First is the assessment with the assessing officer. Then if the assessee loses there, if he gets an adverse order, then he can appeal to CIT appeals, that is Commissioner of Income Tax Appeals. And then CIT, again, if he gives an adverse order against assessee, then he can go to Income Tax Act Tribunal, Appellant Tribunal. If he fails there also, then there is High Court, and then there is Supreme Court and SLP and all that. So these are the various stages of litigation that the assessee goes through. So these are the authorities whom he can go, and these are quasi judicial. These are not judicial till ITAT level. These are quasi judicial, and so they actually verify the facts. These are the fact finding authorities: assessing officer, CIT appeals, ITAT. These are fact finding authorities, and High Court and Supreme Court are the legal. They solve the questions of law. So at High Court, you cannot bring any controversy that you faced in the facts of the case. So facts end by the level of ITAT. So beyond that, you cannot change or verify or bring additional evidence or bring additional grounds at High Court. You can only appeal if there is a question of law. And there are various questions of law which arise from the Act and variation from the Act during assessment. So these are the various chapters which has the assessment provisions and appeals. So now, during lockdown past years, the process of assessment has totally changed. Now, since we switched to BC virtual appearances, the government has made the entire process of tax assessment as faceless tax assessment. Earlier assessees were very troubled. They had to visit assessing officer number of times. CIT appeals could not find them. Then go again, dates and dates and dates. But now this is faceless tax assessment. You have to go to the portal, submit your submissions, get the answer from there, and move forward. If you have to appeal, you go ahead. They verify. There are various units in that who do their job. So basic is National E-Assessment Center, that is NEAC, who will issue the notice. This is E-Assessment Center, who gets the returns. So receiving assessee will reply within 15 days, that is reply to the show cause notice. And the center will assign an official for the case in assessment unit, regional electronic assessment, REAC. So this is based on the various regions of the um, various regions in the area. So NEAC will then communicate with assessee, verification unit, technical unit, and review unit. These are the various, actually the work of assessing officer has been split into these three units: verification, technical, and review unit. Verification is the people who will, is the unit which is going to verify the returns, verify the evidences, have the summoning authority under section 131, and they carry out the basic verification of work, whether it is within the provisions of act or not. Then there is technical unit. If you want expert advice like valuation of land or any other matter such that, then it goes to the technical unit. They do that function. And then there is a review unit. Order is passed, and then there is a draft order, and then there is a unit which reviews everything, the entire case, and then gives his opinion. Now, it is not that this is faceless between the assessee and the authorities. It is mutually faceless also. So the assessment unit and the verification unit and the technical unit and the review unit, they are also faceless. They don't know who is working at a review unit, doesn't know who's there in verification unit. So everything is very transparent, unbiased. It is actually based on real provisions of the act. So earlier there was biasness, there was arbitrariness. It was not depending upon the mind and setup of assessing officers, CIT appeals. They could have prejudgment or things like that. But now it is very transparent and there is no biasness. Now they send all the information after doing everything to NEAC. They send it back to them. Then NEAC will collect this information and send to REAC. After examining all the information, they will prepare a draft assessment order. It will now be sent to NEAC, and this SC will be given a chance to defend his case. He will be given an opportunity to say something about this draft order. If he opposes it or why he opposes it, there will be a show cause notice. Then these are the units I just explained. This is the assessment unit, which assesses. Then there is this verification unit that performs the function of verification. Then this is technical unit. This is only entirely if you need expert advice on legal, accounting, forensic, information technology, so on and so forth. So this is going to give you that. And there is review unit, which is going to review the draft assessment order so that assessee is not at loss anywhere. Then this continues. This presentation will be given to you and you can read it through. I will just quickly go through it. Then furnishing of evidence during faceless assessment is maximum evidence must be led before the first court. It is always better whatever evidence and facts that you have to plead are given to the first court of hearing. That is at the assessing officer level. That is when you get the notice or when you prove your show cause and then further requirements come. So you have to submit all that. It is all written. It is on the portal. So you have to submit your submissions, give your evidences, and it is better that you submit in the initial stage because later on it is going to affect your proceedings. Because if you forget some basic fact or some good evidence, then you're going to lose the case. Then there is adjournment, which can be taken on VC. Then these are the 10 common reasons the taxpayers can get income tax notice. This I have listed: for non-filing or delay in filing income tax return, misreporting of incomes, tedious claim, not matching with 26 AS, then non-disclosure of income. So these are the various types of notices that can be issued, which is issued under these sections. 142.1, 142.1 for inquiry before assessment. This is coming twice. And 148A, this is new. This is reassessment order. That is, once the income tax has been assessed, order has been passed, you've got the order after a few years, after 4 years, 6 years, 10 years. But now the provisions have changed. 10 years, the assessing officer has the power to reopen the assessment if he finds that there was escapement of income. Suppose he gets to know from some source that this assessee was has escaped income and he has high value transactions. If because nowadays the information is submitted through SEBI also. So if you have high value transactions, then and you've not disclosed them in your income tax return, then assessing officer can reopen your case and reassessment can be done. The entire process of assessment has to be carried on all through again. So this is called reassessment. 148 is a new section. Earlier it was under section 148, which is income escaping assessment. Then there is notice of demand, defective return. So all these are the notices. Here I've listed what action is required in case you get notice under these sections. So this is very clear in the presentation, and I don't think I need to explain anything in this. If you go through it, you will find what action you have to take in case you get notice under any of these sections. So these are the 3-4 slides on this. Then we come to prayer to invoke section 131. If the assessee feels that no, the assessing officer or the verification department now, verification unit now, currently is not satisfied with what submissions he is making to prove his credit worthiness, genuineness under section 68, then he has to pray to the authorities to issue summon under 131. So this is the work of verification unit now. Earlier assessing officer used to do. So what they do in this under this section, that the assessee, if he has taken monies from some people, then he has to produce those people to show their credit worthiness and their genuineness. So they are summoned. So this is face to face, or now not now face to face, but they will be actually confronting the verification unit to prove that their genuineness. So assessee has this power to invoke the power to call summons. Now this adjournment. This is remedy post. I've already told you this. The remedy post assessment is appeal to Commissioner of Income Tax Appeals. This is the next level. Then we come to appeal before NFAC. This is now actually current scenario. Relevant provisions are given. Time limit is 30 days. Delay is condonable if you have valid reason. Then there is fees payable and other things which are very clear in the slides. You can go through. I'm sorry, this is a very big presentation. I could not omit many important things. So I thought if you have the slides with you, you will be able to better understand. Then there is this I have already explained you, written submissions, paper book, all this you have to submit to the in the appeal. Then you have appeal before additional evidence. You can, I've already told you, there is a doctrine that you can always give additional evidence at any level of appeal or assessment. And following authorities, this is now we come to ITAT. These are the authorities in Income Tax Appellant Tribunal. Currently, ITAT is not covered under faceless assessment because they are going through trials. Now, currently it is happening through video conferencing, and they are actually trying to find a same system as is there for assessment. But ITAT is currently functioning normal like other courts. So these are the authorities which are there in ITAT. If you're going to ITAT, then you have to treat it as judicial proceedings, because this is a fact finding and plus a question of, it deals with the question of law also. So ITAT is very important. It deals with both the aspects in your submissions. So what you actually, there are various benches. There are division benches, single member benches, there is special bench, and there are ARs and DARs. They are supposed to daily upload the proceedings orders as per recent judgment. So these are the basic, what the bench clerk does, the registry of branch does. You have to carry ID card, the office there, the court is in Lok Nayak Bhavan in Delhi. And how the roll call is made, first they take adjournments, then they take cover matters, mentions, and then the regular hearing starts. So they finish off with it is unlike, you have to wait for your turn as per the cause list. They finish off with adjournment and covered matters and mentions in the beginning only. Then these are what you have to give when you're submitting papers to ITAT. Then these are 4 copies of rulings. These are the things to be kept in mind. This is very theoretical and given in the rules also. This is appeal. It has to be very concise without any arguments. You have to give facts of statement and grounds of appeal to ITAT. Now, statement of facts has to be purely statement of facts. You cannot write arguments in that. You have to be very careful in that. And grounds of appeal have to be only grounds of appeal. You cannot go on, giving your arguments in that. Arguments you can only give at the time of hearing. You cannot give your arguments at the grounds level. So they have to be very concise. It has to be to the point so that judge, the member, he understands what is your ground, and likewise he decides the case. If you go on giving your arguments, that is very confusing. Then there is additional ground. I've already told you it can be taken at ITAT level also. This is the conditions under which the additional ground can be taken. Orders have been passed at without giving sufficient opportunity, and ITAT requires, if suo motu ITAT requires some evidence, then it calls for additional evidence or for any other substantial cause. Then we have paper book rules. These are given in the rules. In any case, you have to give an undertaking that whatever you are submitting is true and nothing has been hidden. These are the miscellaneous issues and powers. And so, Keshav, I've just rushed through the presentation, but I hope whatever I've spoken, it was not too quick, and everybody has followed something out of it. I'm sorry the presentation was very big. I could not have finished it in half an hour, but I just rushed through it. So I would request you to pass this presentation on to people who joined, so that they can at least get to know what I was talking about.
Definitely. We'll
so this is what it is. And in case you want to get in touch with me, these are my details. Always available. If you're starting your tax practice, need any guidance, I'm always there to help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So
over to Keshav.
So before we get on with the question and answer, just one very small thing I want to mention. So ma'am also has a law firm. It's called Relegal, and so she also has a weekly email subscription which she has for her privileged clients and all. So, but the best thing is that it is being prepared and it is being circulated. So you can subscribe over here also for that. And
you can subscribe here. This is the link I've given. So you'll start getting the subscriptions. Thanks for reminding, Keshav.
No, ma'am, I remember that because I keep getting those, and I actually appreciate how precisely and to the point you narrow down the judgments whenever you're giving your opinions on them. So it's definitely something that you should check out. All right, so we open the floor for question and answers. Whatever questions you have, ma'am, it was a very enlightening session. Definitely, I'm sure that there are things which are there which people want to ask. So guys, anything you want to ask, you can please do that.
Madam, good afternoon.
Yes.
Taisa, hi, good afternoon.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, madam. See, we are always a law which is simple is good for common man. Law which is simple is good for common man, isn't it?
Yes.
My question is, sorry, it is out of the subject.
Okay.
But it is for the entire. It is for the entire benefit of entire Indian public. So it is a public spirited question. Government after the government, including Chidambaram, I have seen him arguing. He was with me in Tata Sons case in Bombay. Government after government, after this independence of 76, why not the government is not, why not bringing direct tax code, DTC, direct tax code, very simpliciter.
See,
Yeah.
sir, this
What-
actually this
What, sir? See, this is the platform I want to use for public benefit also. See, okay, knowledge exchange, yeah, all this agree, but many are my CA friends are there who are holding corporate taxes, who are holding individual. 80% public in India is uneducated, illiterate. So previously, now this is good, online assessment has come. Otherwise, privately, admittedly, entire income tax, entire, up to the government finance minister, I'm telling you, it may be recorded. I am not afraid of anybody. Speaking truth is my object. Full of corruption, full of. And as you rightly said, I appreciate that CS have taken over lawyers. Not only CS are doing registrations, sale deed registrations, and so many other things, partnership deeds, legal documents, which litigation comes thereafter. So I'm from Bombay. The High Court is dislodging itself from this. That High Court and Supreme Court, in their wisdom, they have realized the commercial disputes are table matters. Table matters. So my question is only one question: is there, what is the Supreme Court or High Court or Parliament about that DTC, Direct Tax Code, CBDT, and can we do something for that for the entire Indian public? I am telling. So we'll be doing a very good thing for the simpliciter law.
Sir, actually, you must be aware that direct tax code is in the pipeline. Now,
Ajay.
the government is of the view that the recommendations on it are too radical. So, their being so radical, it requires more deliberation. So, they are actually deliberating on it, and that is why there is an announcement that will come in 2020. There was an announcement that it is going to be released, but then it was withdrawn because there are so many hurdles in it. There's so many radicals they have to deliberate on that it is taking time. And I am really agree. I agree with your concern that now CAs are taking over, but not. I just shared the Supreme Court judgment right in the beginning that whatever they are trying to get into is unconstitutional, and we can always appeal against it. You know, CAs are they have unity. What they do, they unite together and they go and appeal and say we should get these matters.
Madam, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I am satisfied with your answer. You have rightly answered. You are aware of things, latest things. The appeal is of the legal system is collapsed. Do you agree or not? What we are giving litigants, hold on to years to years to Kuda. Now, see the act has come. What is dispute resolution?
Yes.
Like in China, 90% settled through.
Hello, I have lost your voice, sir.
90% is settled through only at the table. So, my humble suggestion, I'm glad, because this is a subject which is not touched so far in these lectures. Tax ka, the minimum you have given the very good. It is very difficult. It is a vast subject. ये deductions का भी मैं बोल रहा हूँ. पहले सुनिए, it is recorded, I know, entire income tax, entire, my commissioners are my friend, retired commissioner. Entire income tax act is based on, हिंदी में बोलता हूँ, सबको समझेगा अच्छा, कि का पी पा में चलता है. We criminal lawyers, we used to call this income tax law का पी पा, कावो पीवो पटाओ. आप समझ गए? तो appeals and this time, so I happened to only have seen one dastur. 20 years back, I went in income tax appeal. When I took him, he gave me only 5 minutes, and he had 12 juniors. He told me, "You draft it, I don't draft it." Okay, and for settling the draft that time, he took 750 rupees for 5 minutes. What I mean to say, this appeal and this litigation is the longest process. hanging a sword on the litigant forever. It creates stress, depression, financial constraints. So this through this platform, if you prepare an appeal for DTT, I'll request our host Keshav and all the participants, advocates who are here from various, he's from Delhi, I'm from Bombay, I'm ex-president of the bar, and from Hyderabad, my colleague is there, Yajnadat, advocate. So from all over India, we can send an appeal to the active Prime Minister today, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, the Finance Ministry, and the CBDT, and any income tax association, I'm not aware, to pursue this and bring in DTT, simpliciter. The law should be simple, very simple in nature. It should be understood by a prudent common man. Whatever laws are made, rule of law is a subject. Like Professor Hebb said, unless the people need a law, not animals. A group of wolves are much better than group of men unless they are governed by a rule of law. So my humble request, and you are the first, one of the first speakers who have completed the lecture within time.
I just rushed through it. I'm sorry if anybody got
Then
something
you are
out or
aware of
not.
time. Samaika Satyavgai, you are aware of time. I been at 40 minutes. So my simple suggestion is that you prepare an appeal, a request, very humble request. We can only see it is a suggestive. We are not complaining. Don't complain anywhere. The complainant has no sense. One thing is we have to be, a SSC has to be truthful. That's all. Basic goes to them only. You show income, no. Ultimately, what that this one gangster, I don't name him because I have represented him. He has declared his income 33%. You have to pay. That's all. Only out of 133 you have to pay. That that requires this, like in PF Act, a commissioner can put director of corporate company, anybody direct in jail without any trial. Section 8 of EPF Act is there. Okay. I have prosecuted, I was senior prosecutor for 10 years. 1,200 companies I have prosecuted, but these are all litigation doesn't end at all. And income tax, 8,000 cases are there in Bombay. A
Sir, that
special
is in
court is
all
established.
areas. If you look at civil, criminal, the situation is the same these days. You pick up any matter, it is not ending before 10 or 11 years. So
So we
our
have
legal
a,
system is far
Right,
behind.
so, ma'am,
so madam, so 1 minute, Keshav, only 1 minute. So we have a very active CJA today, active CJA, and
Right.
Supreme Court and High Court, they want to disburden. They want to give up their burden. That is why commercial suits are NCLT is prepared. Tribunals are being made. It's okay. So please prepare an appeal for direct tax code, which we'll all see a sign
we will, sir,
and we'll.
actually, we will discuss. We will definitely discuss this appeal. Sir, it's a very wonderful proposition to think about. But maybe considering that the shortness of the time and that we have very limited time for question and answer, sir, with your permission and with ma'am's permission,
And
I
one more question,
yes,
Keshav.
because there's
Madam,
another question which is
Madam,
pending from the
how long an income tax appeal takes? How long period it takes for decision?
ITAT. It depends, sir. Nowadays, they are only giving dates.
Average. No, now pandemic, I'm not asking. Pandemic.
Sir, it takes a lot of time. Nothing less than 4-5 years.
Understood? How to curtail this? That's all.
So,
Thank you very much.
actually
Thank you, Keshav. Thank you, madam.
No, sir, thank you so much. Because sir, what
sir.
you just
Thank
said,
you.
ma'am, actually, if any person who wants to understand the basic idea of litigation will benefit so much from this particular moment of this class itself, wherein it is discussed as what is the average time taken for a litigation and what is the pendency which people have to understand. Ma'am, there is another question from Deepansh. So Deepansh has asked, so he says, good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, whether it is necessary to prepare GST for taxation law.
I didn't get it. Prepare GST for taxation law means GST is indirect tax that is covered under taxation law. So that is another stream of practice. That is indirect taxation. There
Good
is a
afternoon,
portal for GST, and the cases have not come. They have started coming in now because this is new, and very few cases have come under litigation. But in the coming years, I think the volume is going to increase, and there's a lot of scope in GST practice.
Deepansh, yes, please, you wanted to ask, did you get your answer, or is there anything more you want to add to it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes, sir.
Please.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll open the floor for question and answers once again. If there is any question, technically our 45 minutes are over, but if anyone wants any question and answer, then if you have any questions, you have any pending salary issues, then please ask them right now, or you have ma'am's, you will get ma'am's contact details, but then you will have to pay, right? So this is free. But anyways, so ma'am, thank you so much. I thank you on behalf of everyone who is present over here, all the people who came and went also. Ma'am, we're really very grateful to you for taking this time out. We really understand how much it actually takes nearly about an entire week for one person to prepare on one particular subject, even though it looks as if it's a very small, task to just 30 minutes ही तो बोलना है, बाकी इतने घंटों बोलते हैं. तो वैसे वाली बात है ma'am. Thank you so much, and I thank all the participants also for being over here. We really hope that there was something that you could gain from this particular class. Also, I have shared the feedback form for the class. मैं हर बार बोलता हूँ मैम कोई नहीं भरता है, आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है एक बार आप बोल दो कि प्लीज फीडबैक फॉर्म भर दो.
Please do fill up the feedback form, and I really apologize for being so fast. I really doubt whether anybody got anything or not, but I hope that something must have gone into the minds.
Ma'am, it was
So,
actually very enlightening. So it was a very good refresher for at least I know I can say for myself, and I'm quite sure the same applies for everyone else. Ma'am, comments में भी आया हुआ है, युधिष्ठिर का भी लिखा हुआ है. Thank you, ma'am. And बाकी please guys,
but it
feedback.
was,
Ma'am, people are also asking for your presentation, so we will share the presentation.
yes, please do forward. If you want a template, for appeal before CIT appeals, that is ready with me. I can share that also. That will give you an idea how to draft an appeal before Commissioner of Income Tax. If that is going to help anyone, I can share that.
Great.